Welcome to the Ignited Entrepreneurs Podcast, where each week I will chat with an amazing entrepreneur who has figured out their secret sauce to running a successful business and share all of that juicy goodness to help you find your secret sauce to take your next quantum leap in your business. Thanks for listening to another episode of Ignited Entrepreneurs. This is your host, Jessica Coulthard. I love helping people chase their dreams. I love seeing people bounce out of bed in the morning to chase their dreams because they've found their purpose. And I know that you're one of those people because you're here listening to this podcast. I know that you're ready for more. I know that you are on a mission. I know that you are passionate and you have a purpose. And there's a reason why you are here today listening to this podcast, because you are ready to go to that next level. I am here to offer you the help that you need to do that. Send me an email at ignitedentrepreneurs@gmail.com and let's get it done. Welcome to another episode of Ignited Entrepreneurs. Today I have with me Carlos Taylhardat. I hope I said that right. Carlos
sounds good to me. Yes,
awesome.
it's really.
Carlos is the CEO and founder of The Art of Headshots. Carlos, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you, Jessica. Thank you very much for inviting me here today on a very special day, Father's Day.
Yes, I really appreciate you taking the time out of this special day to be with us and share your knowledge with us. So we do appreciate that and recognize you for that.
Thank you.
So I always like to share the stories of how, networking and connecting can happen. And so Carlos and I met completely accidentally through a mutual friend. About a year ago, we both attended an event here in downtown Vancouver, and our mutual friend suggested that we go for lunch. And so the three of us, plus we ended up grabbing another perfect stranger, a young lady, to join us. And the four of us went and had a lunch after this event. And it was a lot of fun. And it's just great to, these connections that we can make. You never really know where they're going to lead, right? So I love the fact that accidental introduction has now come to me being able to have you on my show where we can now collaborate and bring our knowledge to more people. So I love how those things can happen.
And Jessica, may I ask you a question, because I'm really interested in this, because we had a lunch about a year ago. So what is it, and I'm sure you had lunch with other people, so what is it about that lunch time interaction that we had that made you want to reconnect with me?
Well, I just really enjoyed your energy and your passion. And I remember when we met that you were talking about something new that was going on with your business. I think you were upgrading your, maybe your studio or something. And I know that Jeff, our mutual connection, actually went and you did some photographs for him. You did his photos, his headshots. And I was just really impressed with them. So when I saw, I think your name came up on LinkedIn, I was like, oh yeah, Carlos, I would love to have him on my show, because I just knew that our energy and our passion for what we do would be a good combination for the show.
Thank you, Jessica. I'm honored. I'm so glad to be in this show, and I'm looking forward to speaking to entrepreneurs through this show, because it's a great ride. It's not an easy one. And people shouldn't become entrepreneurs because they're looking for an easy ride, personally. And the worst reason to become an entrepreneur is because you don't like what you're doing. That could be one of the many reasons. But if that's your main reason, because you don't like to do, okay. There are some people who have been successful, doing different things. But I get ignited by people who become an entrepreneur because they want a voice, they want to make a shift into the world that we're at, or they want to create their own world. My company, we're a social enterprise. So what I mean by social enterprise is that we're just as interested in providing a great lifestyle for the photographers as we are for our customers. Our product is something called headshots. And a headshot is a portrait that you use nowadays mainly for presence, social media, LinkedIn, About Us page, when you write an article, in this situation, when you're being podcasted. And we like to produce a portrait that is a little different. So most photographers out there, they're button clickers. So they're curious about lighting. They're curious about the individual little bit, but they're more interested about the equipment, the lighting, and all this stuff. So I like to call most photographers out there technicians. You know, they're photographing people like Lever. But what happens, and I hear this over and over and over from our clients saying, I had a terrible experience when I had my headshot done, which makes no sense to me because the photographer neglected the most important person, which is that person in front of them. So I train our photographers to photograph people like psychologists so they can capture the essence of people. And it's the essence, is the thing that you don't see, that makes a great portrait. So we help business people by having a headshot of themselves, but a headshot that will subconsciously tell the viewer something great about that person. And we do that by having a genuine and real interaction. It's almost like when you come in for a headshot session with us, you meet a mini Anthony Robbins. So going back, I'm excited to be in your show so we can talk to other entrepreneurs. And I think that when you have something exciting to bring out to the world, it makes everything easier because we're going to hit walls. We're going to realize that some of the things that we thought were going to work didn't work and something else came in. But when you're excited about what you're doing, then it's infectious and people want to pull you in there. So my first recommendation to entrepreneurs is don't go there because you want to work less. Go there because you don't want to work. And what I mean by you don't want to work is you're going to be it's like a child. You don't charge the child by hours. You don't tell the child, hey, I was up all night taking care of you. You love them. And you appreciate those hard moments. When you're running a business, it's your child. And you're no longer working. You're in a mission. You're in a mission to provide something beautiful. That's at least my first recommendation. And I'm sorry I went on there already before you asked me any questions, Jessica.
No, that's
so
okay.
I'll shut up for a minute. Let's hear your questions.
No. I love it when my guests come on and just like go with it, because it's about you. I want to really make sure that you and I have a great connection and that you bring your message to the audience. So I love it when people just come on and go. So but I'm interested though. So I love to hear how people get started in their business. So would you be able to share like where this love of photography, but more about just that connection and bringing out people's essence, where did that come from for you?
So there's two sides. So the technical part of business, I got into it because I'm a loser, and I'll explain that a little bit more.
Please.
The passion part of the business, I got in there because of my bringing my nature, who I am, and what I love. So I remember when I was a little boy, my father had this book, this really big book of the portraits of this photographer called Yusuf Karsh. And whenever I looked at the portraits, I could understand something deep and profound about all these actors, Marlon Brando. You could almost understand their nature. It was just amazing. It was tantalizing. And I realized that sometimes I would open up another magazine like GQ or something, and there was a void. There was an absence. Now I call them, those pictures, I call them room look or vacant smiling. So vacant smiling is when a photographer, all they care about is that you're going to smile, and people just, their eyes are vacant and there's a fake smile. It's not real. Or the room look is when they're trying to imitate a 90s 90s Calvin Klein commercial, so people just kind of move in there, which is kind of interesting, and it works with 19-year-olds. But if you're 25 or older, you look silly when you do the room look, this high contrast, shadowy, and you look like a light just hitting your eyes. But Karsh had these beautiful pictures And then my father was an ambassador. So we traveled all around the world, and my dad used to love photographing people. And I remember a trip that I did when I was 10 years old, and this actually is really interested in the Black Lives Matter movement, because my father, you know, and this is a long time ago, I'm 51 years old, and that was in 1977. We were walking in the Andes mountains, and there was this girl who was asking for money, and she had these piercing green eyes, and my father took some pictures of her. Then he asked me, because she was kind of asking us questions, and my father bought her some ice cream. My dad asked me to pose with her, and I asked, and then my dad, and I said, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. This is embarrassing, Daddy. No. And then my dad goes, well, why wouldn't you pose with her? So I said, because she's dirty. And my father said to me, don't you ever think you're above anybody else. And he gave me, my father's second career was naval captain, so he gave me that piercing look. And then I modeled against her, but I understood what my father wanted to photograph from her. These piercing green eyes was just beautiful. And I remember that lesson as well, you know, because my never be above anybody, and who cares the color of his skin, what the upbringing and all this stuff. And it was a great photo, actually. I wish I still had that photo. I have no idea where that is. But I used to admire my father's ability to capture the eyes, the people, and all this stuff. So when I was 16, I started my first studio. We turned the basement into a studio, and I was doing modeling portfolios and actors' headshots for all the kids in Toronto at that time. And then I went to a different direction, and I worked as a family therapist. And then after one try, my second try was Art of Headshots. And Art of Headshots, we have a system of photographing people, and it's a completely different system. Like most what people learn in photography, they learn how to handle a camera and lighting. We teach our photographers, how do you communicate to people so you can draw their heart and soul, so you can bring them into a place where they're not just pretending smile, they're elated, or they bring in who they are, the core of the foundation of the human being. So that's our piece. Now on the technical side of it, I had a job as a family therapist, and the Ministry of Children and Families cut off the society, so I lost my job, and there were a lot of things in life where I didn't meet the success I wanted in acting and so forth. So I've lost a lot of stuff, but through the losing in life, I've always given myself a report card. What should I learn from this? How should I become better, and so forth? And eventually I hacked myself into building a company where not everything is exactly what we want, but we have 8 studios across Canada, from Nova Scotia to Victoria, and we help photographers become a celebrity in their cities, become the best headshot photographer. And we're moving now to the American market, where we help a photographer build a career and make as much as a surgeon photographing people if they follow our system and the process that we do, which is exciting. So not only do we produce our product, although we call it headshots, or you can call it portraits, we're actually immortalizing people. We're giving people a portrait where they'll always remember the moment in their life, because it's a portrait that has the richness of their life, what makes them who they are. So now through all the losing, and I don't want to talk to you so much, but I hit a lot of walls in my life in many different aspects and things. I learned to become an entrepreneur, and I lost big time just a few months ago with COVID-19, and now I'm just excited all over again. And we had to make some major changes and everything, but it's interesting. It's beautiful. It's the battles, the ups and downs is another exciting thing about being an entrepreneur.
Yeah, and I love your passion for it. Like you say, like a lot of the photographers out there, they come at it from the technical side of it, from the how to use the camera, how to set up the lighting, how to create a room. but what you're doing is you're pulling the person, who they really are and who they need to be presenting themselves to the world as. And I love that you've got that background of the family therapy so that you understand people and you can, probably ask the right questions to get them to come alive in front of you for your camera. What a gift that you give to people by doing that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I understand, that we all need to have a headshot for our business, but like, I'd love to hear from your point of view, like why you think a good headshot, like taking that extra time, finding the right person to do it. Because I think actually, I'm trying to remember back, I think you and I connected a while back when we met, and I sent you a photo that someone had taken for me, and you actually helped to critique it for me and tell me what was good about it, what was bad about it. So I would love to hear your opinion on why it's so important for entrepreneurs to have a really amazing photo for their branding.
Yeah, so first let me answer a question that some of your viewers might have. There's no such thing. So our tagline is "You are beautiful energy." So there's no such thing as a good-looking or ugly person. And if you're hesitating getting a headshot because you're just not happy with your portraits, probably is because you haven't found the right photographer for you. Nowadays, with social media becoming the mainstream media, has never been more important, especially with COVID-19 when we don't see people and stuff. That headshot of yours is for personal branding. A headshot is a completely different document. So consider that if you're on LinkedIn, for example, and you write down, I did this, I won such awards and all this stuff, right? Those are cerebral content. They affect you on a cerebral way. So people say, okay, good. He or she has done this and that. Okay, I'm interested. But your headshot is a subconscious document. Your headshot says something about you that you don't recognize in a conscious mind, but subconscious. So it's really important. I've had over and over and over clients and agencies saying, wow, I can't believe it. After we had headshots, our sales increased. Why? Because, if you're going to the competition, like, for example, there was a company that wasn't doing very well, Richmond Chrysler, and then we did headshots for all of their staff. Consider that when they go to another dealership, they have these pictures that are cut off and ex-wedding pictures along with their, and then when you go to Richmond Chrysler, there's these wonderful portraits of each person. Your mind, your subconscious mind says, I remember not too long ago, someone sent me an email saying that they were a guru coming in from India, and they had this new business approach that included yoga and all this stuff. And I looked at the content. I thought, okay, great. And then I looked at their profile on Facebook, and I looked at their portrait. I said, you know what? He can't pay me enough to waste 5 hours of my time. Never mind how much it's going to cost, because that headshot showed hate, showed entirely the opposite of what I saw or what I read in his content. It didn't make sense. I could tell that this was not the person that he was telling me he was through that headshot. So yes, headshots are very important, and it works for you 24/7. And people will see it and they will recognize you through your headshot. Sometimes people will forget your name, but they won't forget your eyes, they won't forget your face. And then at times, if you have a great headshot, one that, and it's not Photoshop, it's not about having less wrinkles. Age doesn't matter. Your soul does not have age. Your soul does not have, your soul is not heavy or skinny. Your soul has presence and has dominance and has experiences. So if you meet somebody and then later on you read an email or you send them a LinkedIn invitation and they say, oh wow, there's Jessica. I want to work with her. See those eyes. I see that experience. So yes, headshot is it's very, very important, and it's a subconscious piece of business.
Yeah, and I love that that's what you mentioned about the unconscious side of it, right? Because there's so many, like that's what's going on. So many people don't realize that we are filtering and we are making a decision about somebody instantly. And our subconscious is doing all of that work. So what you're being able to do is you're being able to bring the true essence of somebody out so that our unconscious is reading that. It's not just our eyes seeing what it's seeing. So that's fabulous. I also, when I was going through your website, I came across something, and I don't know if this is your quote or somebody else, but it says, falling in love with yourself doesn't make you vain or selfish. It makes you indestructible.
Yes, I found that quote. I have no idea, and it was anonymous.
Oh, nice.
So I don't know who wrote it. Usually I follow a lot of stuff from Steve Jobs, because when I read Steve Jobs' autobiography, it changed my business life. And I really, really recommend anybody who's going into business to do two things. Read the Steve Jobs autobiography, which is not a business manual. It's just the observation of Stephen Isaac, who followed him in the last few months of his life and was able to get, let's use an old-fashioned word, the Rolodex of some of the greatest entrepreneurs in our lifetime. And then the other thing, which actually you're going to ask me about recommendations, so I'll wait until you ask me. I'll tell you what the other one is. But that book was wonderful, because when you're reading what he does, then you understand, for me, how that changes. It made me realize that it was really important for me to be authentic. Not to try and be someone else. Just be myself. Understand the core of who I am, and transmute that in my business dealing. And then two, not to play it small. Don't play it small. I have a space in the world. This is an exciting product. Like before, I was just going, oh, photography, and I was imitating what other people were saying and all this stuff. Deep down inside, I was really ignited about it, but I thought, oh yeah, I got to be polite and all this stuff. It's like, no, we differentiate ourselves. We capture your soul. We give you a wonderful tool for marketing, and more important, we give you immortality. And Jessica, there was one more question that you asked me, and you said, who should get headshots? The most important reason why people should get headshots. And I didn't answer that. The most important reason for headshots, it's not just for business. It's because you exist. We exist, and we should have a portrait that mirrors the best of who we are. That's the number one reason to get a headshot. Even if you're not in business, even if you're not marketing, if you're a single mother, and you're working really hard, housewife, husband, you're in university, why not get a great headshot, a portrait where people understand what you're all about? So, because you exist is the most important piece. The benefits are huge, but everybody should get a headshot every 5 years.
I love it. So where could people find you? And if they wanted to reach out to you, I would assume that your website would be probably the best place to go to find you.
Absolutely. So if you're in Canada, we usually show up first or second in any search keywords. Soon in the United States, it'll be the same thing, as we will be starting new locations. I am starting the study of opening up one in San Francisco and one in Austin, Texas, and Seattle. The reason is I already have some clients from San Francisco, which it will be a little easier when we find a photographer there. Seattle's close to us. And I love Austin, Texas, because it's the hippie-ish city in Texas. They just stand out. So I would love to start. So we're looking at that now. If you're want to find out about our business exactly, the company is called Art of Headshots. The three words together. Sometimes when I say headshots, people think I'm saying hedgehogs. I don't make chocolates, headshots. And, one little piece, some people think that headshots, because of the name, is a picture of someone's face. It's not a picture of someone's face. Headshots is a terminology that started with the movie industry in the 50s. When people had to present an 8x10, and it was the portrait that was used for audition. And a director used to call all their pictures mug shots. So then they changed mug shots to headshots. So headshots could be full body, it could be you with a background and all stuff. But yeah, just come into Art of Headshots, and if you're interested, or if you're not from a Canadian city and you want some advice, I'm very, very open to give you advice. But just consider that if you're asking for advice, expect me to tell you the truth. Don't show me a headshot and expect me to make you feel good. That's important. I always want people to feel good, but I'm more interested in always being authentic and real with people. And then, if one of your listeners loves portrait photography, loves people, and is planning on starting an Art of Headshots in a location that we're not working, and they're already committed, they're more than welcome to talk to us about how they can set up and learn from us. Maybe that could be an opportunity.
Wonderful. Yeah, you never know, right? Somebody listening might say, like, I connect so deeply with Carlos's message that I want to work with him, become one of his photographers. So that's awesome too. You never know what can happen, right?
Well, especially now with COVID-19, so if I find that because I've photographed thousands of people, one common thing that I find is that a mother who has taken a hiatus from her career for 5 or 7 years to educate and take care of her children now wants to go back and decides, well, you know what, I don't want to go back to working in that corporation or what have you. I want to use my new life experience skills, and I want to start my own business. And then sometimes they'll get into real estate and invest all this money in real estate and all stuff, and realize that really wasn't what they wanted. So if someone has corporate skills and has a lot to love and loves photography and all that stuff, this might be an interesting career that they can undertake. It's not easy. I don't expect our Art of Headshots photographers to make $100,000 a year in 3 months. It's like everything else. It'll take a couple of years. But once you get it going, my God, what an amazing career. Photographing people, capturing their essence, making them feel great about who they are. I just can't think of anything better than this. And it's fun, and it's beautiful, and it's clean, and it's well-dressed.
Yeah, and just the gift that you get to give to people. As a coach myself, that's what I love, is being able to help somebody get something that they need or they're looking for. And so you get to do the same thing, as you get to create something for somebody that they can't do for themselves. They need that. They need that person to draw that out and then set the scene. And it's just a beautiful gift that you give to people. So I would now like to ask, because I ask all my guests before I let them go, what advice would you give to somebody who is ready to take their business to the next level?
Yeah, I like to give advice that's not the same as what you hear from everybody else. So, everybody will say, do a business plan, and my advice is different. Your number one enemy, the person who is going to help you the most and the person who is going to be your biggest obstacle, is yourself. So consider that you're going to go in and say, hey, I've decided that I'm going to jump this fence and I'm going to start a business and I'm going to sell gadgets or I'm going to make this shift and all this stuff. And sometimes people think that other people are saying things about them or whatever, but it's in their head. So consider that your number one enemy, your number one obstacle is yourself. So you got to do some work with yourself. and be careful also how you do it, because sometimes what people end up doing is they'll go to a hoorah workshop and they're all ignited, and then reality hits in a few months later and doesn't. But it's important that you do some work. Look at the things that are going to be an obstacle. For me, when I started Art of Headshots, I had a huge obstacle, very, 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 very difficult, and I needed to work that. Otherwise, I couldn't do it. So my obstacle. Today's Father's Day, and I have 2 kids at home, a 9-year-old and an 8-year-old, and it's a dream come true. My son wrote me the most amazing poem about how I am as a dad. And that's amazing. And it's particularly amazing because that wasn't the case always. I have a 17-year-old who I haven't seen since he was 12 years old. He told me, "Daddy, I don't want to see you." His mother told him that I am the worst thing in the world. And I needed to work that out for myself before I could do business. I needed to work out that while I went to court 15 times to battle for custody, I wasn't going to win the battle because it's complicated and it's a hard thing, and it's my drum, it's my shit, and we all have our own drums. And I'm telling you something heavy duty, because I think it's really, really important, and it's not the worst problem. Our problem is the worst problem because it's our own problem. So if in mine, I think is very important, but for someone it's something different. Maybe self-esteem or something. But it's really important to find a way to work that one thing or those few things that are important, that will be your obstacle. And how you do it, maybe getting a great coach, or getting a coach and a family therapist, or marital, or talking to your wife and saying, "Listen, this is really, really important for me, and I need your support." Who knows what, or Mom and Dad, you've always made fun of me. Who knows what it is, but it's really, really important that you confront, and for sake of making it easier, your baggage. My baggage was very deep and profound, and I realized that I wasn't going to let that keep me in the way of succeeding in other aspects in life, which it wasn't. It was, and I overcame that, and I still have that battle, and I didn't fix it. I'm not saying fix it. If you can fix it, great. But look at the obstacles. So that's my biggest piece. The second one is be authentic. We're going to read books about how other people did it, and it's great. Pick up on their energy, but your energy is unique, and own that energy. Own that. If I love helping people, so my company is about helping others through a great portrait, and I help the photographers and all that stuff. But that's my journey. If you're greedy, own it. Okay, I'm greedy. So make sure, because people will gravitate to your leadership if you're authentic in what you do. And then the third one is listen to your customers. As you start getting customers, they're going to give you the best clues. One of the problems is a lot of people think that they're going to sell to their family and friends. And I found that that's a problem. That's a mistake. My family and friends don't even understand what kind of portrait I do, but my customers who found me and spend days comparing my portfolio with other photographers and said, "Yeah, you are what I want," then they'll tell me, and I kept adapting and changing our processes and our service and how we deliver according to what my customers said. So listen to your customers, especially your first few customers as you're moving in, because they're the ones who are going to give you the cues to make your product or your service a success.
Wonderful. And I love what you said about, the first one that you gave about you got to do the work, because, I believe that we all have an identity, right? And so the person who you are today may not be the person you need to be to grow that business. And understanding what those obstacles are and what might hold you back you may as well get that right out of the way right now before you start spinning your wheels. So beautiful. Thank you so much, Carlos. I really appreciate you coming on today, and especially because it's Father's Day and I know what that means to you. So thank you so much for
It's
being
been
here.
the best Father's Day, and your interview adds to it. Thank you very much, Jessica. And Jessica, because you've interviewed me, and I really appreciate that, I would like to invite you to come for a headshot session on me.
Oh my goodness, that is amazing. I would love that.
Now, because people tend to procrastinate and so forth, I'm giving my gift to you a 3 months 3 months expiry date. So
Okay.
right now is July, so August, September, October. If you call me in November, the gift is nullified.
Okay, awesome. Well, I will take you up on that, and I would love it because this is the year that I turned 50. So what an amazing opportunity to get the most amazing headshot done for my
So we're the
50th.
same age. That's wonderful.
Yes, so wonderful.
I'm looking forward to it, and
Me too.
yeah. So later on, we can have a phone call and talk about, what's important for you and so forth. One of the things that people make a mistake is they think it's all about clothing and all that stuff. It's about your energy. So don't be yourself. Bring what you would wear and for your best client, all this stuff. But let's have a conversation and decide whether your best headshot is outdoor or studio. And I'd love you to have a professional headshot by the time people listen to our interview, so they can actually see what happened with you.
I love it. It's a deal. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I'm so excited. Thank you.
You're very welcome. If I could, and we couldn't do it even if you were in front of us, because the new normal, we're not allowed to, but if I could, I would give you a big hug. I really appreciate you coming in. So even if I was in front of you, I couldn't give you a hug because we're not allowed to do hugs these days, but thank you for interviewing.
Hopefully by the time we get a chance to do the photo shoot, we'll be allowed to hug again.
And one last thing about your listeners, if any of your listeners want to talk not about photography but talk about business, I would love to listen. I'm not a business coach, and that's my area. I'm way too busy with artifacts and all that stuff. But if they have a question, about this, I'd love to, because maybe being wearing my heart in the sleeve might trigger something to somebody. And if they want to talk about something that is huge to them and is keeping them from jumping the fence in life, they're more than welcome to. But maybe someone listening to it, or them going through the process of writing in there, they might find that whatever that was, it may alleviate them. Who knows? Yeah,
you never know. And the fact that you've been through it, and just having that empathy and understanding, sometimes that's all we need. That's right. Just somebody who understands where we are. And that can be the key that unlocks what we need to be unlocked from, right? So
thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
And that's another episode of Ignited Entrepreneurs.